welcome to another session of Microsoft Excel. Till now, we have learned about different functions and features of Microsoft Excel. And today, we will be learning about two most important functions. One, print view, and the next is sorting. Now, print view is something that helps us in printing our Microsoft Excel sheets properly. As you know, we have a workbook and then there's a spreadsheets and then there can be different spreadsheets, right? It is very important for us to know about how to do the sorting and printing of the Microsoft Excel sheet. So let's begin our session for today. So the first thing that we will be learning is print view, and then we will be learning about sorting. So what is print view? Users can review sheets, pages before printing. This helps the user in avoiding unexpected results or wasting pages. Now, every time you print a document, a PowerPoint presentation, a worksheet, a spreadsheet, or a workbook, there's few things that you should know. One, you should print out only the information that is required. Do not just print out each and everything unless and until it's required. Specifically for people who are analyzing data, who are working with larger sets of data and all, you know the moment you start printing, there will be several sheets of data which will be coming because you're not going to be analyzing just 10 rows of data or 10 columns of data. You might be analyzing about 100, 200 or more than that. Now, it is always better to select the part and print it out. Be it for a document or for a presentation, print out only the part that is required. Mostly that you can be able to save paper here. Also, one thing that you should know is you can work around that data sheet and in case any changes required. Now think about the situation. You have decided to print out data from January till April. But you don't understand is the moment you print out that part, you see that there is a lot of problem in the printing because you have printed out the data but it's incomplete, or that there are hardly any space and most it looks overlapping. And thirdly, if there is a mistake, you might have to print it out again. So it is always better to do a print view before you are printing it out on printing out the pages. Now let's see how to do a print view for printing out the pages in Microsoft Excel. So let's go back to Microsoft Excel. And we are already here in Microsoft Excel document. Now you see here, there is file. So in the file ribbon menu, once you click here, the first thing that you see is print, right? So in file ribbon menu, you see print here. So go to print and you see the print is already here. Now, how do you use the print? So the first thing that you see is print active sheets. That is the sheet that you're working on. Let's say you have decided to take a set of data into a next spreadsheet which you require to print, in which you think something that you need to work on a printed sheet. What you do is add the paper. So go to add a separate spreadsheet and then add the data here. So you can add the data. For example, let's say if you are adding a data for, let's say, for a certain period of time. So you will add it here, and then you go to File, go to Print, and this only selected sheet which is there, the only selected sheet which is there, you can print that. For that reason, that part of the data that you require will be printed. The next is print an entire workbook. That means all the spreadsheets that are there. So let's see, you have 4 spreadsheets here. Then you will be printing out all the 4 spreadsheets here. So you're understanding what happens here is you will be printing out all the 4 spreadsheets here. So when you are printing an entire workbook, that means all the spreadsheets that are there, all the spreadsheet which consist of the workbook will be printed. Now, this is where you have to think that do you require all of the spreadsheets, or is it that you can make do with 1 or 2 spreadsheets from the workbook? Because that means your data, there will be a lot of pages, and all those pages might just get wasted as well because if you don't need them. So always think twice before you're printing an entire workbook. And then is the selection, which is if I have a current selection, I am going to print that. For example, a part of data is only what I am planning to print, not any other thing, nothing else. I'll just print a correct selection. For example, I can do 2, 2, 3. And my only this 2 spreadsheet, like I was telling you, instead of printing out the whole workbook, unless and until you are determined and you are confident that that is what you require, you can only print out these 2 spreadsheets which you know that is going to be required. And later on, obviously, you can print out the entire workbook or the spreadsheets that you think are also required there. But to determine that which are the spreadsheets which are required, which are the ones you will be printing, you can only print the selection. The next thing that you see is collating, as in, do you want it to be collated like this, or do you want to be uncollated? So collated and uncollated is a place where will all these 3 spreadsheets come together, or it will be different. Collating of the spreadsheets, that means putting it together. So you have the collating option as well. Then you have the portrait option. Do you want it in, or which orientation do you want your page to be in? Portrait or landscape? Now, by default, your printing will always be in the portrait orientation. Like remember that your documents are always in a portrait orientation except slides. Right? But here you can also make it landscape because so let's say you do not have much rows but more columns. Makes more sense, right? To have a landscape orientation to fit all the sets of data because you do not have many rows of data. Always when you see that there is not many rows of data but many columns of data, try and switch it over to landscape orientation and not portrait orientation. I know that you might have to turn the page to check your data, but at least in space wise, it's not that there's one sheet and another sheet and you put it together and then you're going to go through it. No, it will be, everything will be in one sheet itself. So then there is landscape orientation. The next thing that you will be seeing is the size. What is the paper size? Now, if you remember in Microsoft Word, what is the default paper size? Letter. You have tabloid, you have legal in case you're doing it for any legal purpose. You have a statement. If it's executive, A3, A4, A5 is something that you guys are already familiar with. A4 is always the normal way that we print out a sheet. A3 is a bit more larger than A4. And then there is A5, which is smaller than both A3 and A4. And then you have B4 and B5 as well. So understand that whenever you're printing out the paper, you have to know what is the page size that you would want. And the next is the margin. Now, margin is something that you also know about. Why? Because margin is very important. You do not want that, you do not want that everything to be at the edge, right? The data to be at the edge. So it's always better that there is a margin in the page when you're printing it out. It can be narrow, it can be wide depending on the amount of data. Also, it can be normal as well, which is by default setting. After that, you can also see if you want to scale it to an actual size or fit the whole sheet on one page, fit all the columns in one page. So this is very important, and this is somewhere where I struggle a lot, specifically when you are working with large sets of data. Anybody who has worked with large sets of data, you will realize that fitting all the columns when you're collecting surveys or when you're collecting data and you have hundreds of parameters or categories and let's say 200 300 rows, it is difficult to fit it in one page. Most importantly, you won't be able to see anything on that page because everything will be really tiny, and you know how much strain that causes in your eye. So if you are planning to fit all the columns in one page or all the rows in one page, think about it. I know you might be thinking that, okay, you know what, I'm doing something, I'm saving paper here, but you do realize that it will be extremely difficult to read if you have really larger sets of data, because collating and fitting 100 rows, 200 rows is difficult. And you really have to be like reading small letters then, like really tiny size of letters. And you would not want to do that, right? So instead that, you can always try seeing that what is the amount of data that you require, how much that you require, and how do you plan to use it, and how do you want to print it out. So always determine printing and thinking that how much do you need before you print out the documents. Don't just print out blindly because you think that, okay, once I print it out, it will be easier for me. No, that won't be the case. Also, there is fit all rows in one page. If you want to fit all the rows in one page, you will be able to do that as well. You have that option as well. You will be able to fit all the rows in one page. And then there is a customized option as well, which is provided. So you can customize it as well, depending on your need, right? So that option is also there. So in this way, whenever you're printing out a page, it is always better to do a print view. The moment you do a print view, you know that how to print out the page, and it is really helpful for you. So always before you print out a page, know what you're printing, how much data do you require, do you think it is possible to fit all the rows, all the columns in the page? Should I be doing that as well? Like, is it advisable to do that? So think about all these things. Think about how much do you need, how much data do you need? Do you need the entire workbook? Because sometimes there can be a necessity of printing out the entire workbook, and then yes, it is a necessity, so you're going to be doing that. But other times, only print out the parts that you think are required. Right? So this is about the print view in Microsoft Excel. Yeah. So let's get back to the presentation. Now, we will go to another important part, which is sorting data. Now, anybody who has worked with data, any of you who has already, did some of the activities on Excel, sorting and filter is very important. And right now we are going to only talking about sorting data, but understand this, that sorting is one of those important filter functions of Excel, which sort of helps us when we are analyzing data. Now, sorting can be for any number of reasons. For example, let's take this thing. If you want to, let's say, in a class and you are a teacher, you have put the names of the students and the ages of the students. You would want to categorize the name of the students as per the age, like from smaller to bigger. right? To do that, you are thinking that, okay, manually, if I need to shift the data, so the first is the 5-year-old, then is the 6-year-old, then is the 7-year-old. Well, that's a lot of time going to be taken. But sorting is one of those functions which makes your life superlatively easy. Yes. What you can do is you will be able to sort it out just with the help of sorting function. You will be able to sort out that data easily from the smaller age to the larger age. So what is sorting data? Users can sort information in the worksheet, right? You can sort information in the worksheet, rearrange the data to find values quickly. See, this is where the main thing lies. You will be able to rearrange the data to find values quickly. Depending on the data, can sort a range, table of data, or one or more columns of data. So depending on the data, you can sort a range, table of data, or one or more columns of data. Now let's learn how to sort a data. So let's go back. Now let's say this is my page, and this is the data. So let me put some. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, G. Right? I'm going to delete this row, this column, and put the cost price here. So let's say I'll put 75, 89, 45, 98, 29, 46, 76, 5, 32, 90. So I have put all the cost price and the product names here. Now let's say if I want to sort this out, what do I do? Right? I want to sort this two out depending on the highest price to the lowest price. So you see sort and filter here, you see A to Z with a funnel. Yeah. You go here and you can go to either sort A to Z or Z to A. So if you do sort Z to A, see, this is happening. It has gone from top to bottom. You can control Z this. But this is the easy part. No, if you want to do it serial number wise, or for example, you want to do it as per the last number first and the first number at the last, ascending order, descending order, alphabetically. That is the most easy part. What we will learn is the custom sort. Right? So you go to custom sort and you add, let's say, cost price, and you say smallest to largest. Okay. And then you again add a level, product name, and do A to Z. Right? So your cost price is smallest to largest, and your product name will be A to Z, or you can do custom list. Okay. So this is A to Z. Okay. And do this. Now you see the smallest number, the smallest cost price is first, followed by the second lowest cost price, followed by the third lowest cost price, fourth lowest. And in this way, if you can see that all the product names and cost prices have got sorted. This is easy, right? Again, let's take another example. We'll put names and ages. More easier to understand. So here I'm going to put A, B, C, D, E, F. Here I'm going to put 8, 9, 17, 10, 12, 5. Right? So I've put. Now, what you do is select this two right here, go to sort and filter, go to custom sort. So you have to go to custom sort. Yeah. Go to custom sort. The first thing that you can put is age, and you can put smallest to largest or largest to smallest. Add level followed by names. You can either put A to Z or Z to A depending on how you want, right? To OK. And you see, whoever is the largest age, as in whoever is older, you will be able to see them first, followed by at the last whoever is the smallest in that group. So sorting out a data, and this you will be able to do with hundreds of rows. Basically, it's not that you have to figure out, but you have to make sure that whatever it is complementing with, it is done properly. Most importantly, whenever you're going here to do a custom sort and adding levels to it, make sure that you are adding those levels and making sure that because there's going to be an impact in those data sets of data. So let's say if you're planning to filter out all of them, filter out or sort out all of them. Specifically, if you're planning to sort out the data and you want all of the data, that means all the rows have to be rearranged properly. All the columns have to be rearranged properly. Make sure you're adding them. It's not that you do two and the rest of them remains the same. No, that should not be the case, because then you might, one, there is room of error. Yeah. Secondly, your values will be mismatched. Now, physically, manually, just changing each and every value back to the same way you're working with hundreds and 200 sets of data is difficult. It is absolutely difficult. So, give yourself some time. Do it slowly, but sort out data. Sort out data properly, because that will help you out a lot. Right? So this is about sorting data. So I hope sorting data is easy and you have understood how to sort data properly. Practice sorting data, because the moment you have larger data sets, you actually know how to go about it, right? So I hope you understood what is sorting data is. Now, to know more about sorting data, where do you need to go? Yes, you need to go to support.microsoft.com to know more about sorting data in a range or a table. Sorting data is an important function, and it is very, very important for all of you, whoever is working with Excel, to know about sorting. It can be a basic function, but it has its use in every time you have to analyze data, right? So sorting data is something that you should always know and use. And then if you want to know more about Microsoft Excel, you want to do a small course, you have some extra time, go to microsoftlearn.com, because that's where you will be able to do an extra course on Microsoft Excel and you will be able to earn few extra credits. Thank you.